Good, man. How are you? I didn't even shower.
What's that?
How you doing? Good, man. All right. Is there an opening statement? If there is, good to see everyone again. And after a few scrimmages, things like that, it's been good. Good fall camp so far, and looking forward to the next 2 weeks of preparation. Any questions?
Just say your name and affiliation and then ask, please.
Yeah. Mark Murphy from Inside Auburn Tigers.
How you doing, Mark?
24/7 Sports Coach. What were you hoping to get out of the scrimmage today, and what did you see from your guys?
Yeah, so the emphasis for us was overall operation, just clean operation. That goes, like everybody thinks it's field to play, but from the sideline to the field to the communication to getting the signal, the personnels, those type of things. And then seeing us operate in tempo situations like our 2-minute situations and being able to go from first through fourth and into the red zone and all those things and understanding how you have to flip the switch in those situations. Not all of them are the same. And the game is made up of it's 60 minutes of play, but it's 3-4 hours of situations. That's really what it's about.
Jeff, Brian Stoltz, Auburn Rivals. How's Jason Jones coming along in your view, and do you see him playing a lot this year?
Yeah, absolutely. Jason's done a great job. There's one thing when you speak with Jason and you watch him play, he really, really cares about what he's doing. He's a guy that really self-evaluates and works on little things, picks 1 or 2 things a day, and he's done a nice job inside for us, for sure. And, he's a guy that I see the best is yet to come for him. I thought he had a good camp, but I think each week and each day you can see him correcting things. And that's what you hope as a coach. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you're looking for, is that you're making new mistakes if you're making mistakes.
Jeff, Bias Wilborn, AL.com. Hope you're doing well.
How you doing? Doing well.
Hey, man, we're good, brother. What have you seen with Eugene Asante at the linebacker position?
Eugene brings good energy. He's got really good speed. He's flying around. Obviously coming from another program, there's been a learning curve, but he's picking it up. He's picking it up well. He brings good energy, like I said, and he's really fitting with that backer unit. And that's what we're talking about, the cohesiveness of that unit. You've seen Coach C-Rob has done a great job with those guys, and you're seeing all of them progress. But he is one of those guys that's adding competition to the room.
Jeff, you there's been a good bit of talk this preseason about Donovan Kaufman.
Mm-hmm.
Could you just talk about what he brings, and particularly his ability, I guess, to play safety or play nickel and versatility?
That's the word that you just said, versatility. That's what he brings, and he's another guy that's a film junkie. He's gonna put in the extra hours. He has multiple positions to play, so he needs to do that. But the other thing he brings, again, is energy. I mean, he does. You can hear him vocally out there, which you need at those positions. Those positions, whether it's nickel, whether it's safety, those are quarterbacks of the defense. And he's very vocal. He wants to get lined up. He wants to get other guys lined up and brings great energy to the room.
Bill Cameron with ESPN 106.7. Coach, talk about competition. How's it shaping up at safety?
Yeah, so that room, and Coach Etheridge has done a good job with those guys. You saw it right out of the bat. There's a different vibe about how they're attacking each rep, going after the ball. And when you add competition, I mean, you have a bad day, there's another guy that can take that spot. And really, I think they've done a great job of helping each other out, yet competing on the field. And that's really what you want. I mean, you look at the best of the best. They're coaching each other, trying to get each other better. But at the end of the day, those reps on the field, man, you got to maximize them. And I think we're getting closer in that room.
Looks like Caden's really had a good fall this morning.
What's that?
Caden?
Yes. He's done a great job for us. There's no doubt.
Jeff JG with Auburn Rivals, AuburnSports.com. From the scrimmage today, do you come out with a better feeling on your 2 deep than you did before the scrimmage?
Yeah, I think so. I haven't watched the film yet, but just from the bird's eye view that I had, I think we're going to see some movement in the 2 deep. There's no doubt about it, and that's really what we want. I know last time we talked about competition and building dependable depth, and I think today is going to give some more clarity on that. I will say we're still a work in progress at some spots in that depth, and we have another week of practice. Is really, really important for that.
Did you have any individual standouts today?
You know, as a you saw Osbury with the pick in clutch. I thought it was a really, really good break on the ball there. You know, Caden Bridges, who you just mentioned, you know, he had a much better scrimmage, and he's starting to get a good feel back there. You know, he's got all the athletic ability in the world, and it's starting to come together for him. You know, Eku has continued to give offense problems. You know, he can rush the passer. He's done a nice job. Cam Riley had a sack today. So there were some good individual performances, but I got to watch the tape to speak on all of them.
Lance Dahl, Auburn Daily coach, you mentioned an interception there. Creating turnovers last season was a bit of an issue at times. Are you starting to see maybe some more improvement in that area during fall practice so far?
Absolutely, especially early on. And then, you know, the hardest thing is being consistent in anything, whether it's turnovers, pursuit, any of those things, just consistently doing it. And a lot of it has to do with before the snap. When we're really on before the snap, and this is any defense in the country, when you're really on before the snap, you got to step ahead of the offense. You can make those plays. And I think, you know, they've done a nice job of doing extra work to work on catching the ball, to get on the jugs after practice, those type of things. We've put a big emphasis on getting the ball back. We caused a lot of fumbles last year, a ton of fumbles, but we didn't get all those fumbles. So, number one, you got to be around the ball to get production.
Jeff, you talk about guys transferring. You're a coordinator in this league for the first time. Mm-hmm. What impact does that have on your preparation and the things you do, and how excited are you to go against, to be the coordinator against some of the best offenses in the country?
Well, I think that kind of a two-part question. You know, with the transfer portal, that keeps you on your toes. There's no doubt about it. You know, that's really more. I mean, we're past that date right now, but again, I know it's the topic across college football. It can be a little bit of free agency when you get into that offseason. So you've got to be prepared and have a plan for that. And you got to look ahead. You're recruiting, obviously, 23s, 24s, but now as you get into it and as the season winds down, you've got to anticipate some things from a recruiting standpoint. From the opportunity to be a coordinator in the SEC, I mean, to me, it's an opportunity of a lifetime. There's no doubt about it, and I don't look at it lightly. I mean, it's one of those things you've worked a long time for, and you're in this position, but try to stick with the day-to-day process. We got a great staff and a great, you know, vision that Coach Harsin gives us, and we're going to stay the course on that. But humbled and hungry to get this defense where it needs to go.
Was your adjustment maybe easier? One, having been here last year, and two, knowing your head coach. Does that make the whole process of going from being a position coach to being a...
Yeah, I think there's no question that makes it easier. You know, this familiarity, I mean, I was heavily involved with Coach Mason in the defense last year, so you know the guys. I mean, and I've done this before where you go to a new school. I mean, just getting to know them on a personal level takes some time because, you know, you can't just stand in the room and tell someone to trust you. You got to earn trust. And so there was a level of trust already there, and I think that allows us to go a little bit further, faster. And then, yes, the familiarity with Coach Harsin. You know, I understand what his expectations are, his vision, and have lived it for multiple years now. So it was easier in this current situation.
Jeff, TomBrino.com. What have you seen from Wesley Steiner just from last year to this year? What's the biggest difference in this fall?
Right, I think experience, and Wesley's done a nice job of really not taking any steps back. You know, there was obviously coaching change. We hired Coach Robinson. He's done a great job with those guys. And, you know, Wesley is just taking step by step each and every day. I think he's more confident in what we're doing and when to be vocal and when not to. You know, I think when you're in a backup role and you know you're in a backup role versus competing for a starting job, you know, sometimes you don't get the opportunity to compete against the number one group all the time. And he's got opportunity to compete against the ones, the twos. You know, he had to play multiple positions last year as well, and I think he's settled into a spot this year. And, you know, he's always been really, really good on special teams, but it's been good to see him progress on the defense side of the ball.
Jeff, go ahead.
Jeff, I think we have a pretty good idea who your 4 or 5 guys are on the defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
But have you developed some rotational depth there that you have a trust and a belief in to put out there, in an SEC type environment?
Yeah, absolutely. Those you mentioned it. Those starters. I've done a nice job, and really I've seen them take some big strides in the last few days. But you mentioned Jason Jones, Morris Joseph. That came to us. He's actually had a really, really good camp. Kind of a versatile skill set as well, and Jeffrey Emba is a big body that can really go, and he's starting to refine his game as well. But feel good about the starters up front and the depth we're going to be able to rotate. Also Marcus Bragg, and when you're talking about the full front, he's done a nice job as well.
Jeff, what have you seen as far as defending each of the quarterbacks? Talk a little bit just about not necessarily who's better, but
right.
Each guy from your perspective, what
sure.
makes them tough to defend?
Well, I think, first of all, I'll say this. I was talking to the defense. That's an advantage for us, when you have different style of quarterback to defend, because each week in the SEC it's going to be something different depending on who it is, right? There's some teams that will spread it out and run the quarterback. Some guys are more drop back, and we're able to see it all, and you have to also call the game a little bit different depending on the style of quarterback. I mean, that's the most important position on the football field, and we all know he touches the ball every single snap. So it has given us opportunity to be in different structures of defense to defend those guys. And, it's also locking into the awareness as a player, because a lot of times, you're going from 1s to 2s and things like that. That's a little different than a game, but they ought to be locked in. Okay, Robbie's at quarterback or TJ's at quarterback. So there's a little different style to it.
But then from there, as far as with each quarterback,
mm-hmm.
what makes Finley unique, what makes Ashford unique, what makes Calzada?
Yeah, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but Robbie, we're not, no secrets, he can really run, so that is something that he has. But I think they've all operated within who they are, and our offensive coaching staff has done a great job of really tailoring certain things to their strengths.
Jeff, Nathan King, Auburn 247.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned Cam, you mentioned Wes. Both of them, talking to them the last couple of weeks, they've talked about how important that experience was.
Yes.
Obviously, you guys would have liked to have had OP in the spring, but both of them kind of get
mm-hmm.
those first-team reps. What have you seen in terms of maybe their leadership, football IQ, that kind of stuff, that maybe they wouldn't have had so much experience if they hadn't had a chance to get those first-team reps in the spring?
Right. And here we really, what you just said is one thing that we talked to them about. Having that opportunity with Owen sitting out of spring, that was a great opportunity. It's, mental reps are good. They are, and you have to get them. Okay, practice reps are really good. You need to get them. Game reps are the best, right? But we say pros get all 3. Well, they had an opportunity to get more reps and work together and work with some different guys in the spring. And there's no way of going back in time and telling, but I think that helped them, kind of jumpstart their fall camp. I think there's no doubt about it. You can't beat experience.
How interesting of a pairing are they to kind of go alongside Owen, considering it seems like different, not only different frames, but really different skill sets?
Yeah, and I know him so much on a personal level too. I mean, it all fits. Let's put it that way. They're definitely different personalities. They're all really, really close. That it's a very close, tight knit group. That linebacker room, and you want it that way. But yeah, their skill sets are a little bit different. There's no doubt about it. And in certain defenses, you're going to put one guy maybe in a little bit different spot based off his size or length, or ability to set fronts and things like that. But both of them have done a nice job, and really, Owen's done a really good job. Owen's done a really good job. I mentioned this last time I talked. There's not a whole lot of guys that at this level that understand how to prepare like Owen Papo does, and he is a great teammate. And so that room gets closer with when they see a guy like that prepare. Hey, if you want to play, you've got to do what he's doing.
What makes Morris Joseph unique, the Memphis transfer?
Yeah, so Morris has the ability to play a few different spots for us. He's quick enough to be on an edge. He's able to use his hands really well, and he's a good athlete. So what makes him unique is his skill set allows us to be a little bit more versatile with him.
Time for a few more.
What was it like when you finally would get Craig McDonald back out there? You watch this tape at Iowa State, guys like a hard hitter. What's he like actually getting in touch with himself?
Yeah, so Craig, again, a guy in the spring that was coming off an injury, and I've seen him take his game. I think the hardest thing in anything, it's just like going to a new job or when you've been at a place for a long time, is just acclimating to the system. And a lot of times it's just language. I mean, that's it. We all speak a different language. Emba, when he's learning the playbook, I said when bonjour means hello, we're gonna be going the same direction, right? So it was really more catching up to the language and the system of our defense because he had been embedded in another system. But we're seeing him take some strides, especially this late part of camp. He's taking a lot of strides.
Could you talk about Robert Woodyard, how he's doing as also a rival?
Yeah, absolutely. Robert's another guy, he just got here not too long ago in the summer, and he's progressing every time. And you saw it in the first scrimmage. He ricocheted off one, got a tackle for loss, and I think sometimes you need that spark to remind you how much you love the game, because I think Robert loves playing in the box. He does. He does a good job with that. And again, there's a learning curve with everybody, but as of late, and that's usually how it goes. Early, it kind of goes up and down, and then you start seeing either a slow progression. We talk about trends. One good day doesn't make a trend, and one bad day doesn't make a trend, but we're starting to see him trend in the right direction for sure. And he's got a smile on his face.
Is it easier for a guy maybe like Keontae Scott, who's playing corner, to come in and play right away as a late arrival and got down a linebacker?
Yeah, there's a lot going on at linebacker now. Keontae, he can play in a few different spots too. There's no doubt about it. And I think there's a learning curve in anything. But coming from high school to the college level versus college to the college level, it usually takes a little bit more time. Mm-hmm.
How's the rest of that room kind of come along behind them?
Yeah, they're doing a good job. You saw, DJ James is coming along at that spot, and you mentioned Keontae Scott, and it kind of goes back to the same question we were talking about, the safety room. That whole DB room is under. I think they have a great understanding that they're all competing. I think that's the biggest thing. I think that sounds easy for us to say. It's not always easy for them to operate that way, but I think they've done a nice job, and even a young guy like Jaden Osbury you saw today make a big play. I mean, that timing of that, you have to have confidence to have that timing. If you're a step off, you're not making that play. So it's showing up for sure.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you. Appreciate you guys.